to the Dice Tower. I'm Camilla Cleghorn.
I'm Chris Yee.
Today, we're going to be taking a look at a new title from Joey Games. That's by Phil Walker Harding called Scribbly Gum.
This is a roll and write game. It says, well, it's a flip and write game, I suppose.
Yeah.
And that's, I've always struggled, do I bother making that distinction? And I find that I really enjoy flipping over a stack of cards more.
Oh, interesting.
It's just a little bit more controlled of the randomness.
So you went from hardcore, it doesn't matter, to it absolutely matters.
It matters now that it affects me.
It matters to Chris.
Yes.
So, all right, before we get too much into our thoughts, though, let's check out how it plays. We're going to take a look here at Scribbly Gum, coming to you from Joey Games, designed by Phil Walker Harding. Now, the box says this plays ages 6+, any numbers of players, and will play in 20 minutes. The game is going to be played over 3 rounds, each consisting of 7 turns. We have 8 directional tiles here, so to start each round, you will shuffle these up, remove one back to the box, and place the other out. Then we'll just jump into the round. A tile is going to be revealed, which shows the direction you have to fill in a dot. For example, here, this has to be left or right. It always has to start from a dot already filled in. So for example, let's say we choose this one. We will complete this solid line to the left and complete the dot here. Note that I did say solid line because there are some dotted lines which can only be completed with a special tile we'll get to here in a minute. When you fill in a dot, it's going to have a symbol in the middle, and you will fill in the corresponding symbols on the right-hand meal tracker accordingly. So for here, I did a single of the red, so I would come over and mark that off as well. After all players have done this, you reveal the next one, up or down, from any completed dot. So now I could use this one or any of the 4 beginner ones. You keep going until the round is complete here, in which case we would do a little bit of scoring and go into the next round. So let's just quickly fill this in a little bit to kind of get an idea of what it would look like. Here is the special dotted tile, in which case I can come and do any of these dotted lines, again, from a previously completed circle. You'll notice as you get further out from the middle, you have more that become available. For example, this is a 2, so I would fill in the next 2 of those. If on your meal tracker over here, you would ever complete one of these special icons that have the 4 arrows around, you get an immediate bonus action of filling in any direction you wanted. So if I was able to get this, I could then come and do here as well, and then again get to fill in a wild, as the blue water droplets are a wild, and you get to choose what you fill in. When the round is complete, we're going to go through and score it, and you score based on completed rows. So for example, on here I would have 2, so my round 2 score would be 2. After everyone has scored, the tiles are cleaned up. The one from the box is mixed back in. A new line is revealed. One is taken to the box. And we can continue for a second round. This is going to go until 3 rounds, at which point we would tally up all the points. There are bonus points as well if you complete an entire column, which as you can see on this side here is 3 per column that is fully completed. Highest points will win. One thing I do want to point out that there are a couple advanced variants as well, one of which being the back side of the pages here, as well as the game comes with a couple scoring tiles. These can be placed out. You'll do 3 each game, and you will label them A, B, and C. And the first player that completes it gets the number of points listed, and then subsequent players who get it get a lesser number. These are going to be everything from completed circles, patterns on your board here, to have at least 12 blossoms on your meal tracker, different things like that, just to give a little more advancement to the game. You don't have to play with all 3 of these. You can play with any number according to your play group's needs and abilities. And that's going to be it, how to play Scribbly Gum. So let's go back up top and talk about our thoughts. So right off the bat here, you're going to notice that the age range for this is 6+, which I think definitely caught my eye because my kid is not really a gamer. He is significantly older than that. But typically, if we're going with more strategy kind of games, I need to look for those younger games. Now, your daughter is more of a gamer.
Right.
So right off the bat, do you think 6+ is an appropriate age range for this game?
I think so, especially because it comes with the option to throw in those objectives or play without them. And without them, yeah, there's very... I don't say this in a bad way. There's very little going on. There's not too many directions you're being pulled. That's the positive.
That's a good way to say it. Yeah, right. Because there are, as the direction comes up, you have multiple things you can do with it depending on what you've filled out, but you're still only looking for one direction. So there's only there are multiple options, but you can quickly eliminate those options as well. So I agree. I think 6+ is good, but that doesn't also limit it to 6+. Whereas kids that are a little bit older that aren't necessarily gamers, there's still enough interesting going on that it would hold their attention.
And especially you play it once without the objectives, and you kind of gauge where your kid's at. If they're like, okay, yeah, this is fun, but very simple, throw in 1 or 2 or 3 of those objectives. And now you're being pulled in lots of different directions. I realize that is kind of a play on words as you are literally going in different directions
as well
on the map. Yeah, so.
Right, but that is something else I wanted to bring up is those objective tiles. And one thing that I think that this game did really well was allowing them to be introduced at your level or at your playgroup's level. You can do 1, 2, or 3 of them. And what I really liked about it in our play with adults on this one, both of us didn't complete all the objectives. And I thought that was kind of refreshing, because it gives you some direction to it, but it has that race element. If I can see you're kind of, for example, in our play of that, you're going for the corners. Okay, I'm going to focus on the flowers then, to try and up that points there. And so I thought that was a really interesting, you probably will have plays where everyone will get all of them or at least a couple of them, but it's not guaranteed. It's not super easy to do.
And so, even though this game is, I think, perfectly appropriate at that 6+ age, maybe if your kid could be a little lower and handle this, but I still have a lot of fun playing this just on my own. In just a group of grown-ups. Yeah, it's a very, very simple roll and write. And it definitely has the appearance, it's gauged towards kids, but I still have fun with this more than other roll and writes that are aimed at adults, actually.
Right. I think one thing that a positive for it and a negative as well for me is the simplicity of the play. We talked earlier about how you quickly see what's an option and what's not, and then from there, pick one. You really don't ever have a bad option. There's pretty much always something you can do, and it's just a matter of picking one and going with it, which is better going to go towards those goals. I think that can lead to not as interesting of turns. For, as an adult, at some point it's like, sure, I'll do that one. But I think that is a positive when you are playing with kids and such with this. It makes it very accessible.
And I think there's a little bit to be said of the idea of you can make it so that there's not really a lot of up or left that you can do because the map is not just a perfect grid. And I think it took me partway through my first play to realize, I kind of boxed myself in where there's not a lot of good left movements from the point where I'm at right now. And I've only left myself bad ones. So you start to kind of realize, okay, where I go, I can go up here or up here, and they both can be a green leaf. But now, actually, this one's better because it leaves more spaces for me afterwards. And I really, as silly as it is, I love the dotted line action.
It is exciting, isn't it? You get it and you're like, oh, something special. It's really exciting.
I think in part because you get to zoom across the map a little bit faster. But also because it usually does mean that you are now in a newer area, you have more available areas to go, up, left, right, or down. So I think there's some good stuff baked into a very simple framework.
I think as well as it kind of encourages you to go towards the outside or the corners of the map as the actions do get better, generally speaking. But as you get outside, you'll get those juicy 3-leaf, spots. But it might be surrounded by single-leaf ones, so it's not like you just race out there and then get all these bonus actions. You still have to kind of puzzle through it a little bit. So I think that was neat because you have these 4 and you're kind of venturing out a little in each trying to hit those little juicy pockets, for lack of a better word.
And I also like that the backside of the map is a different map. It's a little bit more kind of scrunched towards the bottom. And so now your play does feel different, and I think it's missing more lines too. So it does feel just like a little bit more step advanced. So I'm very impressed with those little extra nuggets that this game has and what could otherwise just be like not for me. It's not just one I play with my kid for my kid to have fun. I have fun with it.
Nice. Okay, well with that, what are your final thoughts here, Chris?
My final thoughts, I like Phil Walker Harding's design mentality. And it shows with this one. You want to try to keep balance of the 3 different resources you get, But if you play the objectives, now you want to race towards things, and you get those bonus points if you're first and everything. I love that he takes a lot of these ideas that he's put in other games and finds ways to just simplify them down. And so, even though this is a game for 6-year-olds, I like it a lot. I'm giving this one an 8.
Okay.
I really have fun playing this one, and I find myself encouraging my daughter. Should we play this one tonight? What do you think? We need a nice quick one. So.
Nice. Okay. I really enjoyed this as well. I don't think quite as much as you. For me, it was a little bit too simplistic. I felt like the decisions weren't as interesting. I would play it with a probably 6 to 8-year-old. My 10-year-old might play it every now and then, and because, again, this is more his mentality of gaming. But I think he would also quickly be bored with it at his age. That being said, it's clearly geared towards younger kids. So with that, I'm going to come in at a 7 for this one. That being, I would absolutely recommend it, and I think you'll know if this is within your kids' one ability, as well as giving them that little bit of room to grow if they are kind of aging out of it a little bit, or if you're getting bored with it. You can add the objectives. So I think there was a lot of really nice touches to it that make it a very good game that I would recommend, but it's one that me personally, I would just want a little more interesting decisions for. So with that, very much enjoyed my plays, would absolutely recommend it, but probably wouldn't hit the table as much for me. So with that, anything else?
Yeah, I think that's the last of the Joey. So of the Joey games, this came out as a trilogy. Scribbly Gum's this one, Busy Beaks, and then the Pass the Party Foods. This is personally my favorite of the 3, but we've reviewed the other ones as well, so you can watch. The rest of us have reviewed those ones on the channel.
Awesome. All right. Well, with that I guess wraps up that series. So I am Camilla Claghorn. We've been taking a look at Scribbly Gum.
I'm Chris Yee, taking a look at Scribbly Gum
as well. All right, so right off the bat, you're going to notice here that the age is 6+. All right, so we both have kids that have been 6 at one point in their life, specifically when they were 6.
Yeah, to be clear, I also was at 1.6 in my life.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I'm overqualified for this job.
Absolutely, absolutely. So take what we say as full gospel.